freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of episode 111 of Gun Freedom Radio.
Where'd the first hour go?
I know, we blinked and it went by, gone. But we you know what we did? We were educating, engaging, and informing so much. How'd that work? Does that work?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right.
Hey, and you know, you and your this biggest gun shop,
Mm-hmm.
we got to start thinking about it's bigger than bigger. It's bigger every day. It's growing.
It really is. We are brought to you by azfirearms.com, the biggest little gun shop, getting bigger, according to Dan, in Arizona. And this show is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. Find out more and check out all of the great content at selfdefenseradio.net. Well, our theme today is long division. When I went to school, we learned the step-by-step process of breaking big numbers into little numbers by using a process called long division. And the key to long division is to keep subtracting until you end up with the smallest possible number at the bottom of the math problem. Kind of like we do when we start seeing ourselves as part of an in-group or a clique. We have the us team and the them team, the cool kids and the rest of humanity. And we seem to always be subtracting out of the us team. Reality TV has made a game of what we tend to do naturally, and someone is always getting voted off the island. I bring this up because every so often I hear rumblings of infighting among those who value the Second Amendment. One group says their methods are superior to another organization's, and the rest of us have to decide whose team or clique we're going to be in, which is bad enough for those of us who are passionate and committed to protecting and preserving our constitutional rights, but it is impossible for anyone new to the idea and trying to take up those values to navigate our infighting. And so, they won't. And we will just keep doing that long division and keep subtracting from our big numbers until we end up with the smallest possible number of people and supporters. Well, with that in mind, our next guest is Remzo Martinez, and he just wrote a book called, ironically, Stay Away from the Libertarians. Remzo is an investigative journalist and has spent the last 7 campaign cycles in the state of Virginia staffing and consulting for liberty-oriented candidates ranging from local, state, to federal races. His blogs and other articles have been published in FreedomWorks, at FreedomWorks, The Blaze, the Media Research Center, and he is a regular contributor to redtea.com. He's earned a reputation for being one of the most deplorable rabble-rousers in politics in the state of Virginia. Welcome to the show, Remzo.
Thank you so much for having me on. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's great to be here. I've been an avid listener for the past year or so, and let me tell you, you guys are definitely setting the standard for the rest of us out there. So it's a privilege to be on with you today.
You're awesome. Thank you for all of that. And I have got to know more about this book. And this title is, you know, it's going to appeal to both sides, right? Is that kind of why you chose it? Stay away from the libertarians.
Oh, absolutely. Because if there's one intrinsic value that I think all Americans share, it's that we inherently don't like to be told what to do. So you go ahead and slap that title on the cover, and people are going to want to read it and understand, why do I have to stay away from them? I chose that title for a very specific reason. It's because I've been told that almost my entire young adult life, and I know that when you look at the news and when you go online and when you talk to popular academics and those in the pundit circle, this is a common theme. Stay away from them. It's common on both the left and the right. So what I've been trying to ask myself for many, many years now is, why is that something that is somewhat, universally shared amongst conservatives and progressives? Why is it these rabble-rousing libertarians are so dangerous? And obviously this was a great time for me to go ahead and go to the #1 source of all information in the world, Google, and just go ahead and type that question in.
Right.
And what you see is a lot of hate, and there's not much of a push on the other side. And I like to read and listen to whatever I can. While some people have brushed the topic ever so briefly, no one's ever gone in depth.
Mm-hmm.
And with this book, what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've attacked many of the myths, misconceptions, and lies that are thrown at modern libertarianism and the liberty movement in the United States. So I'm hoping that, whether you're a diehard right-winger or a snowflake leftist or someone in the middle who's apathetic, even if I can get a politically apathetic teenager in middle America to pick up this book and not necessarily become a libertarian by the end of it, but have a good time reading it and be a little bit more knowledgeable about the topic by the time he's finished, I think I'll have accomplished what I wanted, because ultimately what I want is a seat at the table and for people to, finally have an understanding of these ideas, and whether they like them or not, at least they'll have a better understanding of them without the spin. So that's kind of the whole premise right there.
Well, that is, I can't wait to get my hands on the book. I haven't gotten my copy yet, but I am definitely going to. And so libertarians, the word liberty is right there in the name. And so, for the left-leaning, maybe Democratic Party, so they are for big government, and the bigger the government, the smaller the person. And so you can understand why they would be like, okay, libertarians are not our friends. But for conservatives, we're supposed to be about liberty and freedom. Why would we be kind of like, giving the stank eye to libertarians? Are we afraid that we're going to split the vote with them? Or like, what's the core difference, would you say?
Well, I try and remove the partisan angle as much as I can, because what we're dealing with is not necessarily an issue of political parties, but what we're dealing with are very two distinct ideological differences. You do have the Libertarian Party, but actually, for a full disclaimer, I'm not a member of the Libertarian Party. I'm a Republican, but I'm not a conservative. I'm a small L libertarian, as some will say.
Okay.
So what I've tried to do is I've tried to tackle one thing, and I'll cover this really fast because I know we have a limited amount of time. From the time that you're old enough to take a high school civics class, what you're taught about is the left-right spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
It's what almost everyone talks about our modern political ideologies through. When you go to the left, you have the people that want civil liberties, but they want economic control. When you go to the far left, you end up with communism. Mm-hmm. And then when you go to the right, what you're dealing with are people that, want to clamp down on certain civil freedoms, but they want to give more economic freedom out. And then when you go to the far right, you end up as fascism. So it seems that whichever way you're going, you're giving up something to get something else, and that no matter where you go, you're being hit by authoritarianism. Well, when you go ahead and actually look at everything from, economic freedom to civil liberties to gun rights to what have you, what you see is that it really comes down to this brilliant quote that Matt Drudge from the Drudge Report went ahead and gave several years back. I think it was around 2013 or so. And he said the fight of our era is not between Republicans and Democrats or conservatives or liberals. It's about libertarianism versus authoritarianism. Mm-hmm. For example, I don't know if y'all are into this, but I like a nice glass of whiskey every once in a while. Cools the mind, warms the bones. Mm-hmm. And here in Virginia, we have some of the strictest alcohol laws in the country. And you'd think that it was the Puritan left that was going after our booze. Mm-hmm. No, most of these heinous alcohol laws regarding whether or not distilleries can serve on certain days of the week and everything else, they've been put forth by Republicans. When you go ahead and look at the Bush era, I'd like to find somebody that was willing to call George Bush a staunch conservative, because what we saw was a massive growth of the federal government that on some occasions makes Barack Obama look small. So what we're dealing with is not necessarily a party versus party issue. It really comes down to ideology, whether you want more freedom or you want less freedom. Because I'd like to say that, Republicans, they don't care about what you do with your checkbook, but they care about what you do in the bedroom. Then the left, all the Democrats, all they care about is what you do in the bedroom, and they still want control of your checkbook. So I've never been of the persuasion that you should give up something to get something else. I believe that if you want people to be free, you need to respect their right to be free, and you should expect them to respect yours. And as long as we don't hurt people or take their stuff, the rest of society's problems kind of, settle on their own, because we don't have to use the violent middleman known as government to go ahead and solve those.
Wow. That, we could have given you your own hour to really break these things down, and we are going to have you back on. Once I've got that book in my hand and I've got my list of 8,000, extra questions for you, we're definitely bringing you back on, because these are the kinds of things that we want people to be wrestling with. We're not here to just say, hey, this is what we believe, so believe like us. If you're arguing with anything that you just heard Remzo say, good, right? Because then you're engaged. And then you want to know, well, why do I disagree? And then you go to the Google machine and hopefully don't get sucked down the rabbit hole of, websites that have an agenda, which is harder and harder to find, right? Isn't that hard to find these days?
The fake news wars are strong and ever current.
Yeah, absolutely. But we do have to run, so please tell folks, just as we run away here, Remzo Martinez, author of the book Stay Away from Libertarians, how people can follow all of your work and buy that book.
Super easy. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter at Remso101. That's REMSO101. And you can go ahead and get the book in print and ebook for Kindle on June 23rd through Amazon. So that's Stay Away from the Libertarians. You can get it in print or on Kindle ebook on June 23rd, 2018. And thank you so much for having me on again. I had an absolute blast.
Absolutely. Thank you. And we're definitely having you back on again.
Perfect. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye. Remzo Martinez. Stay away from the libertarians. But not that book. Don't stay away from that book. That sounds like an awesome read. All right, stick around. We still have Ashley Lundvall coming up on the other side of these messages. She was just appointed to the President Trump's Council on Sport, Fitness, and Nutrition. Awesome. Stick around.
When you're working hard to beat debt, you've got to think of creative ways to get your income up. Here's an idea. Sell some stuff at auction. Start with locally owned and operated potofgoldestate.com. The owners, Dan and Cheryl Todd, have over 60 years of combined experience in selling antiques, collectibles, guns, coins, and jewelry. And over their many years in business, they've earned the trust of thousands of people just like you. Whether you're saving for a rainy day emergency fund or paying down debt, let potofgoldestate.com help you get the extra cash you need. Potofgoldestate.com will purchase your items outright, or you can consign them to their twice-a-month online auction. Pot of Gold's nationwide online auction is a great place to get top dollar for your collectibles. They specialize in everything from antiques, coins, high-end collectibles, to cars, boats, guns, and more. Get started today at potofgoldestate.com, or visit them off I-10 and Dysart Road in historic Avondale for some live auction action. For more information, visit potofgoldestate.com. That's potofgoldestate.com.
Hey ladies, Cheryl Todd here from azfirearms.com. Many of us ladies are taking the important step of becoming responsibly armed, but it can be an intimidating process. And with all the politics swirling, a first-time gun buyer, whether a guy or a lady, might feel uncertain about where to begin and who to trust. At azfirearms.com, we are a small, friendly, family-owned shop that specializes in first-time gun buyers. We are staffed with knowledgeable people who are ready to help answer all of your questions. My husband Dan and I pride ourselves on having a safe, no-pressure environment. Once you have decided on a purchase, azfirearms.com partners with professional firearms instructors who will train you to become a responsible, safe, prepared, and proficient gun owner. So ladies and gents, when you are looking for personalized service and a huge selection, come to azfirearms.com in Old Town Avondale off the I-10 and Dysart Road, or visit us on the web at azfirearms.com.
Welcome back to Gun Freedom Radio, where we engage, we educate, and we inform. We are sponsored by azfirearms.com, your nationwide hometown gun shop. Well, our next guest is Miss Ashley Lundvall. Ashley became disabled in her teenage years through a tragic accident, but not one to miss out on anything in life. She became a hunter and an outdoors woman after the accident and while in a wheelchair. She is a member of the NRA's Disabled Shooting Sports Committee and was recently named to President Trump's Council on Sport, Fitness, and Nutrition. She will also be featured in an upcoming show on NRA TV called Tips and Tactics, sharing some hunting tips with other women. Well, welcome to the show, Miss Ashley.
Thank you. How are you doing?
I am doing great. It's been way too long since we've gotten to see each other because I just missed the annual meetings.
Yes, you were so missed.
Oh, thank you for that. And it's been too long catching up. You've got such big news here. So talk to us about how does one become appointed by President Trump to a council?
I'm still, to be honest with you, it's still very surreal to me as well. But just right after the inauguration, for a long time, I've been looking for more of a national platform and a bigger opportunity to just serve people with disabilities and see how I can help in that way. And so I reached out to some folks at the NRA that I had worked with and had seen really just my passion for helping people with disabilities be more active and things like that. And just told them, I'm looking for an opportunity to serve. If you hear of anything, please let me know. And just kind of through different relationships, that way my name was passed along through different channels and eventually was put before the president for this council. And so really excited about those relationships and just how that opportunity was presented to me. So I've known about it for a little while now, but wasn't sure it was going to exactly happen when it did. And so just excited to serve and looking forward to the opportunity.
Wow, that's totally incredible and awesome. And I think it's really, I think you're just such a perfect person for that, because you're a natural with instructing and teaching and just helping lift others up. And so whatever you're focusing that on, I think it's just going to be awesome. So what is the role? So sports could be any number of sports?
Sure. So the mission of the council is to engage, educate, and empower all Americans, regardless of their abilities, to just adopt a healthy lifestyle, including regular physical activity, good nutrition. And then President Trump's council is really going to focus on encouraging youth sports participation. And so I'm really excited for the opportunity to work with kids and youth. Obviously, with the health epidemic that we're facing in the U.S. today, getting kids active early is really important. Getting them kind of away from all the screen time and outside, yes, and just keeping them healthy. And obviously, as a mom, that's something that's really important to me. And then just really excited about the opportunities for the first time really to include folks of all abilities and, all-inclusive playgrounds and encouraging children with disabilities to get involved in youth sports. And it's just going to be really exciting to see what avenues that we're given in order to include everyone that we can.
That's so important. When you talk about getting kids' eyes off the screen and out gazing on nature and out into the fresh air, it's like we have to be so much more purposeful about that in this generation, I think, and future generations than we were when you and I were kids and we didn't ever want to be indoors. At least I didn't.
Exactly. Usually your parents have to kind of talk you into coming inside. And so we want to try to get that back and just get kids to understand how much fun they can be and how much healthier it is for them to be as active as possible.
Absolutely. So being at the NRA annual meetings, I didn't get a chance to go, like I was saying, but there was so much vilification of the NRA because people just don't understand how much the NRA is geared towards educating and safety issues and all these kinds of things. They really don't understand, I think, what the NRA is truly about. But with all of that, huge negative focus and push against them, how was it? How did you experience the annual meeting? Was it what it looked like in pictures was just a big family reunion? So
that is exactly how I explain it to people when they ask me, why are you involved with the NRA and how did you get involved and what keeps you there? And I tell people that same thing is the NRA is my family, and it's not just an organization to me. It's just this amazing group of friends and people that I love and I trust, and we're all in this together. Amen. And I love going to the events because exactly like you said, it's like a huge family reunion, and it's so great to meet with everyone. But what I really appreciated this past, actually a couple weekends now since we were in Dallas, is just how much diversity there is within the NRA. And I think so many people have the wrong mindset about what the NRA is and what it stands for and who it's run by and who it represents.
Yeah.
And if you had been there for more than a few minutes this weekend, you would see that, you know, there's so much diversity, whether it's, you know, race or gender or sexual orientation or physical ability. It does not matter. Freedom is for everyone. And that's what that weekend was really all about. And it was such a beautiful thing to see. And so I just encourage people, you know, don't believe everything you see or you hear. Do the research yourself and really just have an open mind about what the NRA is and what it has to offer you. And if you are a lover of freedom, then the NRA is for you. And so I really encourage people to educate themselves about it. And like I said, it's just something I'm really proud to be a part of, and just an amazing group of family.
Amen. I love everything you just said, and it's so exactly how I've experienced past meetings that I've gone to and any interaction I have with people in the Second Amendment community. So tell us about this Tips and Tactics show that's coming up.
Well, like you mentioned, I love educating people about anything and everything, and I really get excited talking to women about hunting. Obviously, we are the fastest growing demographic, and, you know, gun sales and shooting sports and hunting is women right now. And it's exciting because I think if you get the woman in the relationship involved, then you get the rest of the family dynamic. And so for me, if we want hunting to continue and we want this heritage to be passed on to further generations, it's really, really important to get women involved. And so when I was given this opportunity, I started thinking about, you know, if I could teach women about hunting, what would I want to tell them? And so what we ended up doing was kind of a before and after the hunt series. And so we talked about how to prepare for the hunt, but then a lot of times women will go out and hunt and they'll harvest an animal, and then their big question is, what's next? Like, what do I do now? And so we really focused on teaching them how to process that animal, how to provide that meat for their families, how to, you know, really just find other opportunities to hunt with groups of other women, and then really how to continue those hunting memories even through, you know, decor in your home or jewelry or clothing or anything that you can do to just further respect that animal that you harvested, as well as, like I said, just remember all the amazing times that you have while you hunt. And so it was just a lot of fun to put that together, and really looking forward to seeing how that's received by women and hoping that it encourages more women to get involved in hunting.
That is awesome. And so there's already hurdles that people have to get over, you know, when they want to get involved with hunting or just the shooting sports, because of all the cloud of misinformation and so forth in the air. But, you know, when you're a person with certain disabilities, there are even maybe more hurdles to get over. So what can you say to encourage other people with disabilities that want to get out into the outdoors?
I get this question a lot from people, and they say, you know, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
I have the desire, but I don't. And I just tell people, start something simple. I mean, it's as easy as going and getting your mail every day, and that sounds so silly, but it gets people outdoors and gets them just excited about little things at a time.
Sure.
And so I rarely recommend people, you know, that aren't used to being outdoors or still trying to figure out exactly what their physical abilities are, to just go big right off the bat, because that can very easily discourage people, or if it doesn't go right off the bat, maybe they won't want to do it again. So start small. Start, go out to your mailbox. That's the easiest thing in the world to do. Get you outdoors a little bit. Usually there's a couple different terrains you have to go over to get there. So start small, and then really start reaching out to other groups. There are so many opportunities for hunting and fishing and hiking and camping and things like that for people with disabilities. You just have to be brave enough to go after it. And then also reach out to just other kind of online communities where people with disabilities tend to virtually hang out. There's a lot of support groups and just online forums that people are looking for the exact same thing that you are. And so there's so much healing to be found in the outdoors and in staying active, and the health benefits are really, really amazing. And so I just encourage people, start small, reach out, get outside your comfort zone, and you'll not regret it, I promise.
That is so awesome. So as we start to wind down here a little bit, I definitely want you to tell folks how they can follow you, because you are just inspirational to watch. You just appear fearless. You are so independent, going out and traversing all of these different terrains and mountainous areas and plains and that sort of thing to hunt. It's really inspirational. I mean, even for people that don't have disabilities, they're like, well, holy cow, I am living my life all wrong. So how can go ahead.
It's such an encouraging thing. I mean, thank you for saying that, first of all.
Absolutely.
But, I started small too. And, You just have to try things, and if they don't work, you adapt and you find a way around it. But you really set limits on yourself with your attitude a lot of times. So just encouraging people to get outdoors is something I'm really passionate about. But as far as contacting me, the easiest way to kind of follow me or keep up with what's going on is just to go to my website, which is just ashleylundvall.com. And you can get email, phone number, contact information there, as well as all of my social media links are all in one place there. And so I usually just like to send people to my website, and they can find a way to get in touch with me or follow me through there. But love to hear from people, love to continue that education and those conversations, and like to hear how other people are doing things too, so that we can continue to share just that attitude of adapting and overcoming and getting as many people active as possible.
Absolutely. And, you know, you also go by the moniker Crown and Camo, right?
Yes, that's Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Crown and Camo.
And then you have is it Reimagined Life? What is there? You have a hashtag that you use all the time.
Yep, a redefined life. And that's something that I started, you know, kind of when I started social media and figured out what hashtags were and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of the motto that I live by and an easy way to track me down.
Redefined life. I love that. You're not a limited life. You just redefined it. You just worked around
exactly.
it.
It's going to look a little different, but doesn't mean that you can't still do the same things that you have always wanted to do.
I love it. Thank you so much, Miss Ashley Lundvall. Thank you so much. We will be talking with you again very soon and following your journey on President Trump's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition.
Sounds great. Thanks so much, Cheryl.
Thank you. God bless. Bye-bye. All right, stick around. We have Bill Whittle coming up. Bill Whittle is an American conservative blogger and political commentator. You know him for so many things, but including his firewall video vlogs. He's going to be talking with us about a recent dust-up that happened with Kanye West, having different opinions from many of his fans, which kind of goes along perfectly with our theme today, Long Division. Stick around.
Hey everybody, this is Joey Rocket Shoes Dillon, world champion gunslinger and Hollywood gun coach. In the Westerns, there's always a good guy and a bad guy, and sometimes the ugly guy. And I always root for the good guy, which is why I'm here to tell you about the good folks over at azfirearms.com. They are straight shooters and always give you the best deal in town. azfirearms.com is the biggest little gun shop in Arizona and have something for every single gun enthusiast. Long guns, pistols, hunting, military, law enforcement, home protection, you name it. And when you've got some guns to sell or trade in and trade up, azfirearms.com are the folks to see. Geez, they bought a cannon once. They are family-owned and operated, friendly staff, courteous, totally reliable. azfirearms.com will give you the best value for your used guns. So stop in, see my friends Dan and Cheryl Todd at azfirearms.com in Old Town Avondale off the I-10 and Dysart Road, and tell them Joey Rocket Shoes Dillon.
Don Collier here, letting you know that you won't get fool's gold at Pot of Gold Auction. They're the genuine article. Pot of Gold auctions off guns, coins, jewelry, and antiques of every kind. Stop in and see my friends Dan and Cheryl Todd in Avondale, Arizona for some live auction action. Or check them out on the web at potofgoldestate.com.
The Second Amendment Foundation is the organization that protects our right to keep and bear arms. They defend our rights in courts from coast to coast. Now they need our help. Go to saf.org and join the Second Amendment Foundation today.
Dedicated to promoting a better understanding of our constitutional heritage to privately own and possess firearms. Support those who support our Second Amendment rights today. That's saf.org.
Welcome back to Gun Freedom Radio, where we engage, we educate, and we inform. We are brought to you by azfirearms.com, the biggest little gun shop in Arizona. Well, our next guest is Bill Whittle. Bill is an American conservative blogger, a political commentator, director, screenwriter, editor, pilot, author, and the voice of the common sense resistance. He is best known for his PJ Media internet videos and short films. Bill just posted a firewall video blog about that recent dust-up over Kanye West having a different opinion from many of his fans, which is an excellent example of our theme today, long division. Excited to have you back on the show again today. Bill, are you with us?
I am. It's great to be here.
Awesome. So, even since Kanye West, you've probably already put out 10 more videos because you are a busy dude, right? So,
that's very kind, and probably more like 4 or 5, I guess. But yeah, we're trying to keep busy here.
So let's touch briefly on the Kanye West one and tell folks how they can watch it for themselves. And then let's catch up on what you've been doing since that time.
Okay, well, the video is called Kanye West Racist. And then after that it says, wait, what? Because the whole theory is, and the reason this whole story is so destructive for the left is because they've been telling Americans now for years, a year and a half, that the only people that support Donald Trump are old white racists. And Kanye West supports Donald Trump, so therefore Kanye West must be an old white racist. And that's their problem. You can find it at BillLittle.com, along with a bunch of other stuff. But it's actually a very, very serious issue, very big issue, because this narrative that that Trump is illegitimate, that he's any minute going to be impeached, that he has no support, that the world hates him, and so on. All of this just has to be echoed all the time to make people who support Donald Trump feel like they're the last people in the world who supported Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just making it uncool to support Donald Trump. It's making it morally illegal, is what the left is doing. They're basically saying, and have been saying since he was elected, that if you support Donald Trump, there's something morally wrong with you, and that only, what else could it be but being a racist? So when somebody like Kanye West comes along and says he loves Donald Trump, puts him in a real bind, because Kanye West is not the kind of guy you can stick Uncle Tom charges to.
No.
He openly said during the 2005 Katrina hurricane relief, he said George Bush doesn't care about black people live on the air. So his street cred is pretty good. And so basically, this is something that we have a hard time understanding, but it's very, very important. Basically, Kanye West gave people permission to like Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
He gave them moral permission, because whether you like him or not, and I'm not a big fan, at least not until this recent event, because he hasn't changed his mind and he's stuck to his guns in the face of death threats from the left, by the way.
Crazy.
Yeah, but in any event, he's basically telling people that if the coolest guy in the world, because you could make a case that he's the most influential voice in music today, if somebody as cool as Kanye West likes Donald Trump, then it's okay. And it's worse than that for the left, better for us. He has 28 million Twitter followers, and he's tweeting out things like, I like the way Candace Owen thinks. Candace Owen's a black conservative spokesperson for TPUSA. He listens to Jordan Peterson, and he tweeted out some quotes from Thomas Sowell.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you that don't know who Thomas Sowell is, he's probably the smartest man alive. He's a conservative economist. And he's tweeting out, he's quoting Thomas Sowell on socialism on his Twitter campaign, and he has 28 million followers, and I would say that the number of people who've never heard of Thomas Sowell before that is probably about 28 million of them. So he's introducing these great conservative thinkers to people never heard of him before. So it's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
And it might be the beginning, and it gives other celebrities cover as well,
It's so true. And, somebody has to be strong enough to stand up and say, you don't have to think like I think. And I didn't ever catch him saying that once. He didn't say, you have to think like I think. He's just saying, here's what I think.
Yep.
And you're welcome to check out who Thomas Sowell is, who, by the way, is also not a white male racist or whatever you were saying at the beginning. He happens to be a black man as well, right?
Well, yes, but he is a racist, of course, and so is every other black conservative. They're all racist. I know it seems hard to understand, but that's the theory. Candace Owens is a racist, Antonia Okafor is a racist, Colin Noir is a racist, Alfonso Rachel's a racist. These are all black conservatives who have the audacity to have a different opinion, and they get it worse than we do.
They do.
Because they not only get the whole "you're a racist liar" kind of thing, they also get entire attempt to destroy their identity. You know, you're not a black person, you're not a woman, you can't be a woman and vote for Donald Trump, and all the rest of these intimidation techniques, this kind of mental fascism that the left is so good at. So this was a big seismic shift, because you can often find some conservative celebrities, and I say this with the greatest respect, you know, because many of them are my friends, but they're not A-listers like, you know, Kanye West or somebody who's just at the absolute top of the pop culture.
Right, and it makes you wonder if Kanye West were an up-and-comer right now, and he made public his conservative open-mindedness towards conservatism and open-mindedness towards Donald Trump, if his career would be instantly extinguished, or if he would have a chance to just be talented and have an opinion.
No, absolutely not. He'd be finished. He'd be finished, and I can tell you this without a moment's hesitation. I've been involved with a lot of conservatives out here in Hollywood for 10 years now, and you simply cannot imagine the level of intimidation. I'm talking about the kind of professional harassment and intimidation that have stuntmen, who are usually the most conservative people on a movie set, because unlike everybody else on a movie set, if you're a stuntman and you're wrong, it's probably going to cost you. You don't get to fail upwards in stunts.
Yeah.
So I've seen grown stuntmen, you know, 45-year-old former veterans, looking at the floor crying, you know, talking about how they had to sit in the makeup room or something and have everybody around them saying, you know, oh, George Bush is a psychopath, and the Iraq War, the American soldiers are a bunch of murderers, and right, Jim? You know, and then this guy has to make a decision as to whether he wants to feed his family or not. And if they decide that you're a conservative, you have no way of proving this. It's all gig-based. So you get a job for 3 weeks. When that job's over, you never get hired again.
Yeah.
And you can't tell why.
Yeah. Amen. It's rough. But then you have somebody like Kanye who just said, "Look, this is what's on my mind today." Right? You're welcome to open your mind and think differently or not. And I'm just so thankful for just that moment and the cognitive dissonance that he had ripple outward from his comments.
But one last very quick thing. What's also not lost on people is how savagely he was attacked by everybody else. That's not lost on other people who have at least a semblance of an open mind. People who maybe not agree with Kanye, maybe didn't like Donald Trump, saw the pressure put on him to conform. And there are some people of intellectual character and decency who are even repelled by even that.
Yeah, it's crazy what's going on. And I want my granddaughter, who's only 3.5 now, but I want her to always be able to have an open mind and question. And you know, I taught my daughter to question authority, and then I went, wait a minute, I'm authority. Dang it. But
curses.
Right? But before we run out of time, quickly tell folks, you know, what else you've been working on and how can people follow all of that stuff, because you are a busy dude.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Yeah, we put out probably 4 videos a week, I guess, on hot topics. I do a show with my friends Steve Green and Scott Ott called Right Angle, where the 3 of us basically take one of the hot stories of the day. And I'll be working on a new, bigger video, new firewall, which I got this title from somebody in the comments stream. And the only thing about the internet that I can't stand in terms of research is I run through so much information that when I see something, it's almost impossible for me to remember where I saw it, so I can attribute it. So anyway, this isn't my line, but somebody made a comment about these social justice warriors, and he called them chimps with chainsaws. And I thought, man, that's just absolutely perfect. I know it's a derogatory comment, and I mean no offense to the chimps.
Right.
But in any event, this whole generation of people who are just morally outraged about things they know nothing about has got to be dealt with.
You just get a vision of, how they, bouncing around the cage and just
just cutting down anything that gets in the way for no reason. Don't understand why. Like the sound of the engine, I guess. The little motor.
That is hilarious. Yeah, sorry, chimps. We apologize for
I didn't mean
denigrating
anything
you.
against the chimps. No. They have many noble qualities among the chimps.
Absolutely. Well, something else that's hard on the internet is finding, so you read a headline and then you see it repeated several times, so you think, well, it's got to be true. We've got to dig deeper and find out, where the sources are coming from, because just because it was quoted 7 times, they're just re-quoting each other. Doesn't mean that 7 different people independently verified the information.
No, that's right. And I had personal experience with that was exceedingly painful for me. Media Matters is a George Soros-funded organization that's designed to basically look at every single thing that every conservative commentator says. They pay people to watch everything that we do. And then they go through and try and find sentences or put together things out of context to, in such a way as to really destroy us. So I was doing a interview with Stefan Molyneux. I wasn't interviewing him. He was interviewing me. We were talking about this book called The Bell Curve. We were quoting the book and talking about some of the things in the book. The way 2 people might do in a free country, let's say.
Yeah.
And so of the 5,000 hours of me talking about issues on the web, Media Matters took some quotes from this one particular interview, put them together in such a way that they called me a white supremacist and a scientific racist.
Oh my gosh.
And then a Republican candidate basically backed away from me on the basis of this piece that they were emailed by Media Matters. And that became a news story. So I got to come home and see my name in the newspaper, in the LA Times, white supremacist Bill Whittle, and all around the country. AMP picked it up. Nobody verified it. No one called me. No one looked at the other 5,000 hours of stuff where I say exactly the opposite. No one ever asked me anything about it.
Yeah.
And it just got picked up by literally by robots. They put something on AP, Associated Press, and then everybody assumes that must be true, and everybody runs a story, and so it's a real problem.
I'm so
And the other thing I would just warn people with finally is to say, if it's too bad to be true, it's probably not true. And likewise, if it seems too good to be true, that's probably not true either.
I love it.
Yeah, we've seen many things that just seem like just impossibly good to be true, and they're just not real stories.
Excellent advice. All right, we have to run, but I can't wait so long to have you back on again. There's always so much interesting things, so many interesting things going on out there, and you've got your finger on the pulse of all of it. So Bill Whittle of BillWhittle.com, thank you so much for coming on today.
My pleasure. You have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye. All right, when we come back, we have our Responsibly Armed Citizen Report and Dan's commentary. I don't think it's going to be calm today.
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of? Okay. Stick around.
And we're back with Cheryl Todd talking about the huge gun buying event at azfirearms.com. Oh, AZ. I get it, as in Arizona.
Yes, but...
Oh, or AZ, as in everything from A to Z.
Well, yes, that too. But what I'm telling everybody about is that azfirearms.com is having a huge gun buying event to buy your old firearms all across Arizona and everything from A to Z.
That's great news. See, my grandpa left me an old shotgun and it's just sitting on a closet shelf at home, so I can bring that into azfirearms.com and sell my gun?
Absolutely. azfirearms.com buys, sells, trades, and even consigns your old firearms. Any vintage, any style, military, long guns, handguns, hunting, or home protection. Single items or entire collections. We offer the highest value for your used firearms in a safe and friendly environment, staffed by knowledgeable people.
azfirearms.com is in Old Town Avondale off I-10 and Dysart Road. Come on down to the huge gun buying event every day through the end of the month at the biggest little gun shop in Arizona. And for all your firearm and ammo needs, visit azfirearms.com.
Come listen to the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Hear about armed civilians protecting people they love. Were they lucky or were they prepared? Come listen and learn at selfdefensegunstories.com.
For straight shooting, look to the biggest little gun shop in the West, azfirearms.com, where they have everything you need to be a safe and responsible gun owner. Huge selection and a friendly and knowledgeable staff. They're my nationwide hometown gun shop, and you should make it yours too. And when you go, tell them old Don Collier sent you.
Welcome back to Gun Freedom Radio, where we engage, we educate, and we inform. We are brought to you by azfirearms.com, your nationwide hometown gun shop. Well, this is the part of the show where we get to bring you real live news stories where real live people actually were responsibly armed and saved lives because they were armed.
Fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way.
So responsibly armed citizens use guns 2.5 million times a year for self-defense, and 200,000 times a year a woman prevents a sexual assault because she was armed. Somehow we never hear these stories on network news, so we are proud to bring them to you here on Gun Freedom Radio. How prepared are you? How aware of your surroundings would you say you are? Well, maybe when you're out and about, have your head on swivel, as they say, and you're tuned in to your surroundings and those who occupy them. But how about at home? Home is supposed to be where we get to let our guard down and just be, right? Home is supposed to be our sanctuary away from all the madness of the world. Well, danger knows this, and danger will use this to his advantage. And danger did that recently in a lovely and quiet neighborhood in Memphis, Tennessee. Danger showed up at a home in the middle of a sunny afternoon when family were gathered together as some were visiting from out of town. Danger likely thought that the occupants of the home would be preoccupied with visiting and catching up with one another. But Danger was the one who was surprised and caught off guard when, as he attempted to rob one family member, the wife of that family member stopped Danger's evil plans and no doubt saved lives that day because she was a responsibly armed citizen.
In Memphis, Tennessee, Memphis police are searching for a man who allegedly tried to rob 3 people outside a Whitehaven home in broad daylight. A surveillance camera captured the weekend incident. The victim said a man pulled a gun on them after asking for a phone and then a ride. Moments later, he learned he wasn't the only one carrying a gun. The homeowner told Fox 13 his niece took his gun and scared off a bold criminal. Quote, "She's bold and she ain't scared of nothing." In the video, the suspect had his right hand in his waistband as he stands behind the victim's nephew. The victim said the man's hand was on a gun. People are so bold nowadays. Just broad daylight on a Sunday come up to you and try robbing you. Memphis police said Sunday afternoon a man in a blue jacket came to the Whitehaven home and asked to use one of the victim's phones and then asked for a ride. While the incident was unfolding outside the house, the homeowner said he and his niece were inside the house. Police said the woman saw her husband in trouble. She came out to the front door with the gun. The victim told Fox 13, "My wife said she didn't want to kill the guy, but when he fired back at us after she fired at the would-be robber, she said she was trying to hit him, but didn't." Memphis police told Fox 13 the gunman ran toward the back of the house and escaped. The victim said he hopes the police can catch the suspect before someone gets seriously hurt. Quote, "Thank the good Lord he was watching out for all of us," unquote.
Well, you know, we need to make laws to protect these criminals.
Wait a minute, what?
I just thought I'd throw that in there.
To quote Bill Whittle in the last line, wait, what?
Yeah, right. Just, it's great. I mean, here's another fine example that somebody who is a responsibly armed citizen can protect themselves. Could the police have got there? Could she have called the police and resolved that problem that quick?
When you see the video, because they just have like a ring.com, how they have those videos of your front porch. I can't think what I'm trying to say, but it's part of your home security system.
You got it.
The husband looks very, very calm, but as though he's trying to control the situation. And the other guy is standing there with his hand on a firearm, is still in his waistband while we can see it, but that could erupt in a millisecond. And so, yeah, call the police, get them on the way if there's time, and there was a third person in the home, and they did have time to do that. But sometimes there isn't that.
Most of the time there's not. And
Yeah,
it's
so
not bad
immediate.
for the police. It's just you are the first responder.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so it's great that they were able to protect themselves.
Absolutely. And now it's time for Dan's commentary.
Tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it.
Okay, so I read this article from the NRA ILA. The title was Hard Time for Dicks, as a Second Amendment supporter responds to the company's anti-gun support.
Okay.
So what made things hard for Dicks? They announced that they would stop selling most semi-automatic rifles at its stores, AR-15s, etc.
At Dick's Sporting Goods.
Dick's Sporting Goods, yeah.
Okay, go on.
Second, carry only limited capacity magazines for semi-automatic guns. That means 10 rounds or less.
Okay.
Third, stop selling guns to legally eligible adults 18 to 20. So that means you got to be 21 to buy a gun. That's the law that they made when federal laws say is 21 or 18 for some guns. Number 4, that Dick's would destroy all of its inventory of firearms that they decided to restrict. So in other words, they're not going to carry AR-15s anymore. So what are they going to do? They're going to destroy them.
What? They're going to destroy their inventory. They're just going to take a loss on the inventory instead of sell them to...
Give them back to the distributor.
Sell them legally to adults who are legally allowed to own. Wow. Okay.
But if that's not enough, Dick's has also hired D.C. lobbyists to push for gun control. Now, this is what I read from the NRA-ILA.
Okay.
But there is some good news. You can fight back. Shop at stores that are pro-gun. That's the first step, right? Also note, some firearm manufacturers are refusing to sell guns to Dick's, and the list is growing. Springfield Armory, Mossberg, MKS Supply, the makers of High Point, they cut off Dick's and Field and Stream, an affiliate or extension of Dick. So James Brown, if he knew about this, would change the name of his song, Papa's Got a Brand New Bag, to Papa's Got a Brand New Pro-Gun Store. Heh! Seriously, look, if you're a sporting goods store and you're selling to people who go outdoors, get a clue. They like guns.
Yeah.
I mean,
they are really thumbing their nose at a huge portion
they
of their...
are, and anybody with any...
People that have helped them grow through the years
Right.
and kept them in business.
Right, and we've shopped at Dick's Sporting Goods before. So what would you do? I mean, so we buy our shorts there. We used to buy, shirts, things like that. Well, I wouldn't even step in their door now.
Yeah.
And so if other people do that.
And it's just a consequence. I mean, we're not calling for a boycott. We're not organizing a march. It's just a consequence of their actions.
Shop pro-gun. I mean, go to your local gun shop. Go to azfirearms.com.
There's a good idea.
Well, we don't restrict.
Right. Exactly.
There's no butts in our there's no butts in our store. Okay.
Well, speaking of no butts in our store, I was being quiet over here, but I was catching. We had, we should have had a little drummer in here going kapsh. Every time you hit one of your little double entendres in your.
I'm just reading from the NRA ILA, and but seriously, if you're going to, support the gun shops that are pro-gun.
Yeah. How can you be a gun shop? And Dick's Sporting Goods sells all manner of sporting goods, not just guns. But it's just, how can you even be in that industry and be not supportive of constitutional rights that protect your customers' rights? It makes no sense to me.
And
the logic train has jumped way off the tracks.
Right, and here's a sign. If Mossberg quits selling guns to you because you're anti-gun, there's your sign. Change the way. I guess just quit selling guns completely.
Well, if they're destroying their own inventory, I mean, that's just crazy to me.
Right.
That you would destroy your inventory. That to me doesn't even sound fear-based. You know what that sounds like to me? Pandering. Just pandering.
Right.
Like, look how morally superior we are.
Right.
We are going to melt. I don't know. What are they going to do? How do you destroy them? You melt them down. You chop them into pieces.
Well, careful about chopping in pieces and do it right. But I don't know, Cheryl.
Now, what do you mean by that?
Well,
because you're a gunsmith and you would know.
There was this one lady that she was somewhere in, I don't remember, she was some kind of government person that said, I'm going to cut my AR-15. She went outside and she cut her AR-15, and what she did, she made it illegal because she shortened the barrel. So she basically took an AR-15 that was perfectly legal to own, and she committed a felony.
Oh,
and there was a lot of people trying to get her charged because she did it on the air.
Why not? Why shouldn't she be?
Right.
Right? And that's the thing. There's that unequal standing that we have. But all right, we've got to run. But wow, what an awesome show. This was a really interesting group of people that came together today, and we want to thank, of course, our tech crew. Poor Ed over there doesn't have a voice today, but he's been calling everybody and whispering, "Hey, this is Ed from Gun Freedom Radio."
How about poor Ed and Danny that never have a voice when Cheryl has a mic?
Hey.
Oh, kind of.
I could paper cut you right now. I'm close enough. I got a whole stack of papers in right. Snippety snap. Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much to our listeners. The fact that you take your time, your most valuable commodity, and spend it with us, and then take these topics and share them around your dinner tables and in your carpools and in all the places you go, that we value that. And also for our guests, thank you for taking the time. And until next time, pray for our nation, pray for our leaders.
All of them?
Yeah, all of them. Even the ones you don't like, especially the ones you don't like. Be good to each other. Have a great week. And God bless.
Our founding fathers here in this country brought about the only true revolution that has ever taken place in man's history. Every other revolution simply exchanged one set of rulers for another set of rulers. But only here did that little band of men so advance beyond their time that the world has never seen their like since evolve the idea that you and I have within ourselves the God-given right and the ability to determine our own destiny. But freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hey gang, this is Masad Ayub from the Pro Arms Podcast. I'm here to remind you that our podcast is a member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. And I'm going to suggest you do what we do and check out the other podcasts at selfdefenseradio.com.